What's up, guys? Today is my 16th birthday, so I'm going to be giving you guys my favorite movie from every single year that I've been alive. Before we get into the video, make sure to drop a sub and a like. It would mean the world to me if you guys did that and make my birthday so much better. With that said, let's dive right into the video. Alright, starting off with the year 2007, I was born November 4th, 2007, and well, I was just a wee little lad fresh out of the womb. 2007 was a banger year for cinema, and we had so much variety and different types of films going throughout cinema. Number 5, Surf's Up. This was a childhood classic of mine. It's just such a well-written, enjoyable story that's so entertaining, has great characters, and a nice little emotional heart to it as well. Surf's Up is a classic, and it kind of stays dear to me as one of my childhood favorites that still just really holds up to this day. Number 4 is going to be No Country for Old Men, a very cinematically rich film that's well acted, well directed, and just well executed in general. I really enjoyed this one. Number 3 is Ratatouille, a really great animated film from that time. It's well written, has a great character duo, and just really gives you the joy of food inside this movie. I absolutely love it. My runner-up is going to be Superbad, an absolutely hilarious comedy, also about friendship. I love this one so much. The jokes land and the humor lands, and there's some nice emotion with the friendships inside this film. This is one film that we do not get a lot of, and I absolutely enjoy it for what it is. And my number 1 pick is going to be Zodiac. This is my favorite film of 2007. And Zodiac is just such a well-written, well-directed film by Fincher. He really shows his talent in here by using the story of the Zodiac Killer and putting his own flair on it and giving us this nice, rich story of the Zodiac Killer and the whole timeline with these detectives working on the story. The acting is immaculate, and it's just such a good film that had me invested from beginning to end. I absolutely love Zodiac, and it is my favorite movie of 2007. Moving on to 2008, we kind of got a three-way tie for my favorite films, but let's just dive into the honorable mentions. First, at number 5, we got the original Iron Man, the kickstart to the MCU. It's a great film. RDJ is perfectly casted in the role, and it just gives us a nice solid start for the foundation of the MCU. My number 4 pick is going to be WALL-E, a great Pixar film with some huge emotions and some great storytelling. WALL-E is an epic film. And now to the three-way tie of my first place for 2008. I can't really choose between all three of these films. I could give the slight edge to one or the other, but either way I wouldn't be fully satisfied with my pick. So I'll just list them off. We got Kung Fu Panda, The Dark Knight, and Synecdoche, New York. All three absolutely immaculate films that I love for totally different reasons, which I'll just dive right into them. Kung Fu Panda is one of my favorite childhood movies of all time. It still holds up to this day with the characters, the villain, the storytelling, and just the experience you get watching this film. It shows you those life lessons that you need to learn as a kid, and they still hold up as an adult. Tai Lung is an absolute badass of a villain, and he is absolutely amazing every scene that he's in. And I just love the lessons in this film. Oogway spits some wisdom throughout the entire film. And it's just one of those films that I really appreciate now, even more than when I was just a kid being totally entertained by the film. Alright, then we got The Dark Knight. I mean, who doesn't love The Dark Knight? The Joker is the greatest comic book movie villain of all time, executed perfectly by Heath Ledger. The story is awesome, the action's so cool, and just the whole vibes with Joker is just absolutely amazing. Still couldn't give it the definitive win though. And then Synecdoche, New York. I mean, this film is just built with emotion, and it's just filled with so many deep, dark, depressing feelings, but it's just executed so well. The acting is amazing, and the emotion just hits you big time in the heart. The ending is something that I wouldn't expect coming a mile away, and yeah, Synecdoche, New York is just an absolute cinematic epic. So if I was going to give the slight edge to one of these films, I think I'd have to give it to Synecdoche, New York, but I've only watched it once, so I don't think I could give it the definitive edge yet. Overall, 2008 is an awesome year, and I love all of these films. Alright, moving on to 2009, we got some films to dive into. So, kicking off at number 5 is going to be Coraline. I mean, what a well-made film. Still gets you with the scares. It's probably the first scary movie I've seen as a kid. Even though it's not considered a horror movie, I mean, that movie scared the hell out of me. But yeah, looking deeper into it on a story level and just the way that it's written and just all the deeper meanings and levels, Coraline's an awesome movie. At number 4, we got Fantastic Mr. Fox, another great one, simple yet awesome and very, very sweet. At the number 3 spot, we got Up. I mean, those first 15 minutes are some of the best in animated cinema. The rest of the film is a great time as well, but those first 15 minutes just carry this movie all the way up to my 3rd place of 2009. Then we got my runner-up, Avatar. I mean, the absolutely immersive experience of this movie alone just puts it so much higher. The characters and the story are good as well, but the feeling you get watching this, escaping to the world of Pandora, is just so great. It's unlike anything. And then my number 1 of 2009 is going to be Inglourious Basterds. It's just such an awesome movie, giving us this nice war satire with so many great lines, so many great scenes, and just Just so much fun packed inside of this kind of darkish film, but it's just still a hell of a fun movie, and the acting is so fun. Brad Pitt's great in the film, and so many other actors here. Inglourious Basterds is one for the ages, an absolute Tarantino masterpiece. Alright, moving on to 2010, we got Scott Pilgrim at number 5. I mean, this is such a different film. It adds so much things in the background, and so many cool different elements to the film that just make it stand out. So it's just a really fun time, and Michael Cera is also great in the role. I have a really fun time with Scott Pilgrim. At my number 4, this is going to be pretty surprising, but Despicable Me. I mean, I grew up with this one, still love it to this day. There's some nice emotion in here, but the comedy just slaps so hard. Steve Carell as Gru is one of the best castings in animated films of all time, so I just love that so much. At my number 3 spot's going to be Shutter Island. I mean, this is a Scorsese masterpiece right here. Every single second's got you on the edge of your seat, and then that reveal at the end is crazy, so much fun. I love Shutter Island so much. It's so enjoyable, so entertaining, and keeps you invested from beginning to end. Scorsese did well with this one. My number 2 spot's going to be Toy Story 3, the ending of an era. Toy Story 3 wraps up everything the Toy Story trilogy did in a perfect way. I love this film so much. It invoked emotion, it was well written, the villain is great, and it's just such a great film. But at my number 1 spot's gotta be Inception. I mean, another Nolan masterpiece with an amazing Hans Zimmer score. What else could you want? Hans Zimmer's score is probably one of my favorites of all time in this movie. The acting from DiCaprio and the entire cast is immaculate, and there's nothing really bad about this movie. I love it so much from beginning to end. Inception is one of my favorite movies of all time, so it had to be number 1 in 2010. Alright, moving on to 2011. This year I didn't see too many movies. On my list, I don't really have a really good top 5, but I'll just still roll with it. So at number 5, we got Scream 4. I mean, this is the best Scream sequel we've gotten. Jill is a great Ghostface, and the reveal of her is one I did not expect coming from a mile away. At my number 4 spot's gotta be Rango. This is an underrated animated classic, so well written, a great cast, and a great story at its core. Rango is awesome. At my number 3 spot's gotta be Roderick Rules. I mean, what makes this film so awesome is the cast, and it just so works with the story of Roderick Rules, and it really does the books justice. I love Diary of Kid Roderick Rules. At my number 2 spot's gotta be Warrior. Now this one goes really underappreciated. I don't think enough people have watched Warrior, but it's such a great film about these brothers who go head to head in the boxing ring. So many great performances, so much great acting, and so much great emotion and character development. It's such a well-made film. But at my number 1 spot's going to be Kung Fu Panda 2, and I know what you're going to say, but I'm a huge Kung Fu Panda fan, and Kung Fu Panda 2 doubles down on what the first Kung Fu Panda movie did right. Kung Fu Panda 2 is so well done, the villain is awesome, the characters are awesome, the lessons and emotion are so amazing, and there's so many great scenes that just give me chills just thinking about them. Kung Fu Panda 2 is an absolutely masterful animated film. Moving on to 2012, this is another year I have not seen too many films, but diving right into it, at the number 5 spot's going to be The Amazing Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield is perfectly casted in the role, and it's just so well done. I love Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man, so I just love this film. Number 4, Rise of the Guardians. I mean, this was another childhood classic that still lives up to this day. There's so much great storytelling, and it's just so fun to watch. Rise of the Guardians is a great movie. My number 3 spot's going to go to Wreck-It Ralph, another awesome animated movie that I grew up with. Wreck-It Ralph just hits you hard by the end. At my number 2 spot's going to be The Dark Knight Rises, and I know what you're saying, this 2012 list, yeah, it's kind of bad. I haven't seen too many 2012 films, but The Dark Knight Rises is a great way to end off the trilogy. I love it so much. It's such a great movie with a lot of great scenes. Other than Talia al Ghul and a couple little issues here and there, The Dark Knight Rises is a great way to end off the trilogy. But at my number 1 spot's going to be the original Avengers. I mean, bringing us together in the MCU. I love this film to this day. All the characters are awesome. The action is crazy good. The story is alright, but it works together by the end, and it's just such a fun film to watch unfold on screen. Moving on to 2013, at my number 5 spot's going to be The Conjuring, a great horror film with some great acting, great storytelling, and it's based off of a true story, so that just makes it 10 times more scary and more fun. At my number 4 spot's going to be Monsters University. I know this is a weird one to add on this list, but it's the most underrated Pixar movie. It's hilarious, heartfelt, and a hell of a fun time. Monsters University definitely deserves some more appreciation. At my number 3 spot's going to be Gravity, a space horror film that is really fun to watch. I mean, the visuals are immaculate, but also the story is very interesting, keeps you on the edge of your seat, and keeps you guessing. Gravity is a really fun space movie. At my number 2 spot's going to be Man of Steel, and I know some people don't like this one, but Man of Steel is the perfect Superman origin story. Henry Cavill is perfectly casted, and Hans Zimmer's score just really makes this film 10 times better. The first flight scene is one of the greatest scenes that DC has given us. But at my number 1 spot is going to be Prisoners, Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. Awesome movie. The emotion, the feelings, the acting, it really works on every single level, and the ending that you do not expect. Prisoners is a very, very well-directed, well-made film by Denis Villeneuve, and I love it so much. I think everything about this film is immaculate. It's definitely in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Prisoners is so good. Moving on to 2014, this was a hard year to crack down on a top 5, but let's just dive right into it. At number 5 is going to be Nightcrawler. Jake Gyllenhaal is great as the sociopath, well-told story, really interesting and really fun to watch unfold on screen. Jake Gyllenhaal gives one of his best performances here. At number 4, we got the original John Wick. The action is so great. The character is awesome. Keanu Reeves is great in the role. And this definitely changed the genre for action for years to come. John Wick is such an awesome movie. At the number 3 spot is going to be the original Guardians of the Galaxy. This film is so great. Perfectly casted for every single one of these characters. So much family vibes, so much fun with the jokes and the humor, but also with the emotion that's brought in by the end. I love this family so much, and it gave us so many great moments as a team. The Guardians of the Galaxy is a Marvel favorite of mine. My runner-up is going to be Whiplash, an awesome movie. J.K. Simmons is amazing, and just the inspirational part of this movie, the keep on going, the absolute dedication to something that you love, something that you're passionate about, is just such an amazing story and executed to perfection in this movie. I love it so much. Damien Chazelle really did well with this one. But my number 1 pick for 2014 has got to be one of my favorite movies of all time, Interstellar. Perfect score, perfect cast, perfect emotion, so much feeling, absolutely immaculate with the scenes and just the whole feel of this film. It is so out of this world and is so amazing. Definitely one of my favorites of all time. Interstellar is my number 1. Moving on to 2015. Top 5 starts off with The Force Awakens. This is a pretty solid comeback for Star Wars, and I actually really enjoyed it until it was ruined by the rest of the trilogy. But yeah, this was a really fun one. My number 4 pick is going to be Age of Ultron. This is actually a pretty solid Avengers movie, and it's pretty underrated. I think it's a fun time bringing the gang back together, and it's just fun watching the Avengers fight some bad guys. And number 3 spot's going to be Creed, another inspirational film that I love. Michael B. Jordan is great in the role, so many great moments, a great score, and some great fight scenes. Creed is awesome. My number 2 spot's going to be Mad Max Fury Road. From the visuals to the storytelling to just the atmosphere of this world, Mad Max Fury Road is such a phenomenal film, especially with the way it handles its visuals and its world building. But my number 1 spot's going to be Inside Out. This was probably one of the first movies I've cried to. I was about 8 years old when this one came out, and I cried when I saw it. It's just so well done. Inside Out just really hits. It's really relatable, and it really hurts seeing, your stuff from your childhood kind of slowly disappear, and Inside Out just captures that perfectly, and it just really hits by the end. Inside Out is an awesome movie. Moving on to 2016, at my number 5 spot's going to be Deadpool, a hilarious fun time with Ryan Reynolds in the lead. So many great jokes, so much great action. Deadpool is so much fun. At the number 4 spot's going to be Arrival, another Denis Villeneuve film that I really, really enjoy. The storytelling here is what makes this one, and there's a lot of great visuals in this one as well. Just the way that the story is told, the little plot twist at the end, and Amy Adams is really great in the role. Same with Jeremy Renner. I have a really good time with Arrival. At the number 3 spot's going to be Cuba and the Two Strings, a really different and unique animated film that's really underrated, and if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's phenomenal. At my number 2 spot's going to be Kung Fu Panda 3. I know what you guys are saying. You're sick of the Kung Fu Panda movies being on top, but this one is so great as well. Score, characters, villain, everything just works for Kung Fu Panda 3. Even though it's definitely the weakest in the trilogy, it still has some of the best moments of the trilogy, so I still love it to this day. But tied for my number 1 spot, I have 2 films, La La Land and Captain America Civil War. Both 2 different films that I love in different ways. La La Land is a film that really hits by the end with some great performances by Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. And Captain America Civil War is just another great MCU film with some amazing characters, some amazing fight scenes, and just so much fun to be involved with this film. Yeah, they're both really awesome films in their own way. Slight edge to Civil War just because I'm a Marvel fan though. Moving on to 2017, I'm a number 5 spot's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, a great sequel to the original film with some more great jokes, some more great humor, and emotional team building. Love this film to this day. Only thing I could say is that Ego is kind of a weak villain. At my number 4 spot, with a pretty big gap between it and Guardians 2, is Coco, another emotionally rich film with an ending that just ends up really, really hitting you in the feels. Coco is a really awesome movie. At the number 3 spot is going to be Logan, the best X-Men film inside the X-Men franchise. Very well written, very well made. It just really shows off Logan as a character. Hugh Jackman is great in this one again, and it honestly just works as a conclusion to the X-Men franchise. The ending is so awesome. Number 2, Thor Ragnarok. This is definitely one of the best MCU movies. So much fun, so much energy, great comedy, great humor. It just works on all those levels. And the God of Thunder is real in this movie. You really get all those things you want from a Thor movie in Ragnarok, and that's why I love it so much. But my number 1 film is going to be Get Out, an immaculate horror film from Jordan Peele that just really showcases that horror can still come back with new things going on in the genre, and Jordan Peele is definitely taking over because this film was so awesome. 2018, at my number 5 spot is going to be Searching, a nice little mystery film that keeps you on the edge of your seat from the beginning to end. This one is definitely underrated. At number 4, The House That Jack Built, a nice film that goes really deep into the mind of this serial killer that's so well written, very well executed, and I love the whole splitting up of the killings. Very interesting, except for the ending, which kind of made the film a little bit lower, but I still really enjoyed this movie. At my number 3 spot is going to be Creed 2, one of the best films in the Rocky franchise. This just doubles down on what Creed 1 did right, and I just have so much fun watching Creed 2. At my number 2 spot is going to be Avengers Infinity War, an awesome superhero epic that does everything we want inside the MCU, and it just comes together all so nicely. Some amazing fight scenes, some great character moments. I love Infinity War. At my number 1 spot is going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, it is my favorite movie of all time, so it has to top this list. And there's a million reasons I could list why, but we gotta move on. So moving on quickly to 2019, at my number 5 spot is going to be Parasite, my favorite foreign film that I've seen. So well directed, very well executed, and just so many layers to the film. I really love Parasite. At my number 4 spot is going to be Us. I love Jordan Peele so much, and this is his scariest movie yet. Very well written and well directed. The ending is so great, and the plot twists just keep coming and coming. I really enjoy Us, even though it leaves you hanging on a little bit of things. At my number 3 spot is Jojo Rabbit, a great World War II satire that is hilarious, well acted, but also hits on a lot of emotion with the damages of war and what it does to certain people. It really hit in the feels actually quite a bit. Well written, hilarious, some great acting, and just so much fun. Jojo Rabbit is a great movie. At my number 2 spot is going to be Joker, such a well acted film from Joaquin Phoenix. He gives one of the best performances I've seen throughout that year, and it's just so well done. The visuals, the choreography, the music, the style of the film. I love Joker so much. But at my number 1 spot is going to be Avengers Endgame. It's just a absolute superhero epic for an absolute superhero fan, so it just works on all those levels for me. Moving on to 2020 with a new haircut. Check this out. It's not that good, but we're going to work with it. Anyway, moving on to 2020. Quarantine year. Not a lot of movies coming out, but I'm still able to make a pretty solid top 5. So at my number 5 spot is going to be Onward. A great little brotherly bond film about these two brothers who go on an adventure. It's really fun. It has some emotional moments, and it's just enjoyable all throughout. It's a great movie. At my number 4 spot is going to be The Sound of Metal, about a musician who loses his hearing and can't do what he loves, which is drumming. It's very well executed. The acting is on point, and you really feel the weight of the story. I really love The Sound of Metal. At my number 3 spot is going to be The Invisible Man, a really thrilling and chilling kind of horror movie. I enjoyed this one from beginning to end. Twists and turns all throughout, and it's actually well acted, surprisingly. I love The Invisible Man. It's a great movie. At my number 2 spot is going to be The Father, an amazing emotional roller coaster about this man who is losing his sense of reality as he is aging, not being able to piece together what's real and what's not. An amazing performance by Anthony Hopkins here. And seeing it from the perspective of Anthony is just so much more interesting because we're not even sure what's real and what's not. We're just seeing him kind of slowly start to lose his sense of reality. And it's just such a great movie. I love it so much. But at my number 1 spot is going to be Soul. This is one of my favorite anime movies of all time. And it is just such a great movie about enjoying the simple things in life and just living, you know? Soul is one of those films that just hits me every time with its message. The themes are amazing. The voice cast is great as well. And it's just all in all a beautiful movie. Moving on to 2021, this was the year that I started my YouTube channel and started watching movies more avidly, so I had a lot of picks in 2021, but I was able to crack down on a pretty good top 5, so let's go. At my number 5 spot's going to be The Suicide Squad, an awesome action comedy with so many great moments, some great characters, and great storytelling all around. James Gunn crafted an amazing movie here. At my number 4 spot's going to be The Mitchells vs. the Machines, an amazing animated movie with stunning animation, but also a very heartfelt story about family. I really enjoyed this one, and I think I'm hyped if they make a sequel to this. At my number 3 spot's going to be Dune, Denis Villeneuve's epic sci-fi masterpiece. So well directed, so well told, and just the way that the story progresses, it's also smooth and it fits perfectly for the books. Dune is a sci-fi epic. At my number 2 spot's going to be Spider-Man No Way Home, the epic culmination of Spider-Man, everything we want from a Spider-Man movie. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland all on screen together. It's epic. All the villains are back. It's just top-notch superhero fun. Other than the CGI, which kind of stinks, Spider-Man No Way Home is one for the ages and definitely one of Marvel's best. It works in so many ways. But at my number 1 spot's going to be Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is the Lord of the Rings of superhero movies. It's an absolute comic book epic that spreads things out so nicely so we get a full awesome superhero epic in a nice long runtime. Amazing visuals, amazing characters, and great storytelling. Zack Snyder's Justice League is an awesome superhero movie. Moving on to last year, 2022. This was an awesome year for movies because I was just binging a bunch of movies. At my number 5 spot, we got Everything Everywhere All at Once, an amazing multiverse film with so many great performances from Michelle Yeoh to Ke Huy Quan. I love everything that is going on in this movie. So many different and unique concepts here, but with a really heartfelt story at its core. That if nothing matters, then everything matters. There's just so many different layers and just so much going on here that it's just an absolutely epic film, and it balances it so well with just its crazy multiverse stuff, but also a nice heartfelt story at its core. At my number 4 spot is going to be Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I absolutely love this one. So it's a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman, but it's also a unique and interesting story with bringing Shuri as the new Black Panther. The score is immaculate, the action is so great, and Namor is an awesome villain. I truly love Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But moving on to my number 3 spot, we got Top Gun Maverick, an awesome film that just makes you feel good while you're watching it. Great stunts, great acting, just pure summer fun that it's just so enjoyable in so many ways. It's that feel-good movie, and it does everything right. At my number 2 spot's going to be Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, the movie we were least expecting to be one of the best of the year, but it was. Amazing animation, amazing story, a lot of emotion, great villain in death, and there's just so many great things about this movie. Simple, effective, and well-written, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is one of the best animated movies in recent years. But moving on to my number 1 pick of 2022, it's going to be The Batman, an absolutely amazing comic book film with so many great things to love about it. The score is immaculate, the action is amazing, Robert Pattinson is perfectly casted in the role. Paul Dano's Riddler is an amazing comic book villain, and just its slow and gritty pace, it's amazing. It's everything you want from a Batman movie. It's a detective story while also focusing on Batman as a younger version of himself, and it is just such an awesome movie. I love The Batman. And we have finally made it to this year. Now, it's not over yet. We still have a couple months, but I think I have a pretty solidified top 5 right now. So my number 5 pick is going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, a hilariously fun animated movie with some great heart, a great villain, and some really cool, different, unique styles in animation. I love Mutant Mayhem. At my number 4 is going to be Oppenheimer, a World War II epic, and it's just so well done. The acting is immaculate, the score is great, and Christopher Nolan directed another amazing movie. I mean, we couldn't expect any less from him, so I love Oppenheimer. At my number 3 pick is going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and a great sequel to Into the Spider-Verse with some amazing animation, some great characters, and just an all-around great story. Even though it does leave you hanging with that cliffhanger, I am so hyped for Beyond the Spider-Verse. This was an awesome movie with some of the best animation I've ever seen. At my number 2 pick is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, an emotional roller coaster of a conclusion to the Guardians trilogy. It works in so many ways. It's a great way to end off this beautiful family, and I loved it so much, especially with Rocket's backstory and everything that was going on with that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is an amazing movie. But my number 1 pick is going to be John Wick Chapter 4. This is one of the best action movies we've gotten in years. So well written, so well directed, the action is on point, the color correction, the score, the visuals, everything works with John Wick Chapter 4. And the final moments are just absolutely amazing. Honestly, I did not expect for a John Wick movie to make me cry, but it did. So it is my favorite movie of the year thus far. If you guys have made it all this way, thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me what your favorite movies are from every single year you've been alive if you want down below in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe for my birthday, like this video, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.